Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We do have a few extra seats in the the third and fourth row if there's a couple folks who'd like to sit. We have a couple in the front row as well, if there's anyone who'd like to sit or feels they need to sit. First of all, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. This is truly an incredible day for certainly the club for us, for FC Cincinnati, but also the city as a whole, with a brand new professional sports stadium coming in a really vibrant, amazing neighborhood. So I don't want to delay what everyone is here for. We're going to see some really incredible images of what's to come in 20 months from now. So without further ado, let me turn it over to FC Cincinnati's managing owner and CEO, Carl H. Lindner III.
Well, welcome. I hope everybody's been as excited as I've been, for this day. We've had lots of different early renditions of our stadium, and just thanks for joining us today for this exciting day. We believe it's a landmark day for our club and for our city, and we thank God for all His blessings and bountiful success that He's brought us to at this point. The last 15 months has been an absolute whirlwind since we were awarded a major league franchise, as you probably can imagine. In addition to just getting a team assembled to represent the city on the field in record time, we've been hard at work to design a stadium that's a fitting and a grand representative of this great city. And today, we're here to unveil what we believe will be the next iconic structure in our great city, Cincinnati, the West End Stadium. My family firmly believes in creating a better Cincinnati for all of its beloved citizens and leaving this region a better place for each generation that follows. Soccer is the #1 sport in the world, and part of our goal in designing the West End Stadium was to create a facility that would be recognized and fondly associated with our great city, Cincinnati, the instant someone saw it. In short, we wanted to build an icon for both our sport and our city. And I have to admit, I think we've done just that. There's not a stadium in the world that looks like this. And certainly no stadium in the world has some of the design elements that we've added. We believe that when it opens in 2021, West End Stadium will be the very icon that we dreamed that could set Cincinnati apart and ahead of the rest. So without further ado, let's take a look at the new West End Stadium, our jewel of the Queen City's crown.
When Major League Soccer launched in 1996, tremendous crowds filled football stadiums around the country as fans flocked to watch the nation's newest passion. Following a spectacular U.S. showing at the 1994 World Cup, MLS rocketed into the public's conscious with raucous crowds, heart-stopping games, and an American version of the world's sport. After a few years, the league started to evolve. One of the most noticeable and immediate changes was the construction of a smaller, soccer-specific stadiums, bringing fans up close and personal to the action. The very first soccer-specific stadium in MLS is no stranger to Cincinnati fans, rising from the Ohio State Fairgrounds in Columbus in 1999. Bruce Stadium was the model that spurred a movement and launched a dramatic growth phase of the league. The LA Galaxy followed Columbus's lead in 2003 and opened a new stadium in Carson, California. Dallas's addition in the northern suburb of Frisco in 2005 kicked off rapid boom in soccer-specific stadiums, a pace that saw 10 new facilities open in 6 seasons. Chicago in 2006, 2007, Colorado and Toronto, 2008, Salt Lake and Montreal, 2010, I-95 rivals New York and Philadelphia, 2011, Kansas City, 2012, Houston. The boom continued on the West Coast in 2015 in San Jose. In 2017, Orlando added its own home field. 2018 saw a pair of new gems, LAFC's home field and DC's long-awaited new home. And just earlier this year, Minnesota opened its new stadium. And now, Cincinnati is ready to add their showpiece to Major League Soccer. Coming in 2021. We introduce West End Stadium.
Can you just picture that beautiful stadium now? The team walking out to a packed stadium representing Cincinnati in an iconic venue that the entire region can be proud of. Scenes that will be broadcast to over 170 countries worldwide. Live action representing this great city. We're so thrilled with this incredible and unique design that Populous has delivered to us, guided by the vision of Jonathan Malley here and his talented staff from Populous. Boy, did they truly deliver a one-of-a-kind design for this incredible city. One of a kind. There's not a stadium like this in the world. There's one building like this in the world. Just one, the tallest building in the world. Jonathan will talk next about the evolution of this groundbreaking design and walk you through the team's process and inspiration. Carl mentioned that this was a landmark day. And there's no way you can disagree with that sentiment. It's not often that a city gets a new stadium that will be the focus of the world's attention. And here we are, Cincinnati, firmly in the crosshairs of the world's soccer interest right now. A brand new state-of-the-art stadium, privately financed by our ownership group. A new reason for the world to turn its attention to the Queen City when FC Cincinnati is representing our region. Another glistening example of what we have right here in this gem of a city we love and we call our home. And what a gem of a stadium it is. The jewel of the Queen City's crown. I like that, Carl. That's pretty good. I like that. The gem in the Queen City's crown. We've spoken a lot about the overall benefits we expect from the new stadium. It won't just be a place for FC Cincinnati to call home. It will be the center of a community. To extend our metaphor a little more, a gem of a community in this diverse city. Our stadium will be the beacon of a proud, historic community, a source of jobs, community reinvestment, and energize the neighborhood pride. The West End Stadium will be one of the vehicles to help the West End along a path to reclaim the vigor and glory it celebrates from past generations through today. As the city continues to grow and expand, we'll be part of the West End's rebirth and reclamation of its claim as a vital and vibrant neighborhood. When the stadium opens, we will pay homage to the West End with art and history that draws visitors' attention to this grand neighborhood. We will be proud and respectful neighbors. We will employ citizens of this storied community. We will give back to the community in an even greater fashion than we're doing now with our mini pitches, community service, physical education classes, after-school programming, and direct donation grants to neighborhood nonprofits. We want to see the community rise to its highest heights, and we will be there to support it and its residents the entire way. We are proud to call the West End our new home. We look forward to the day that the West End Stadium is open and is a showcase of the vitality and diversity we have not only in Cincinnati, but also this amazing neighborhood. We are so grateful to all the public officials who have supported us along the way. I especially want to thank you, Mayor Cranley, for your impassioned leadership of this defining project. Denise Driehaus and Todd Portune at the County Commission have been unwavering in their commitment to ensure we have close, accessible parking for our fans. We wouldn't be here today without the Cincinnati Public School Board. Eve Bolton, thank you for being here today. To all your colleagues on the board, and to the staff, thank you for believing in this vision for a greater neighborhood, a greater Cincinnati, and our partnership. Our partners at the Port Authority, led by Laura Bruner, for their great assistance and support for community development, and the many local community leaders who have had a vision for a clear pathway to a brighter future. And of course, our FC Cincinnati supporters who have helped us organically create this club from day one here in our city. And to all of our business partners represented here today, thank you. Together, that's how great things happen. And to our project team from Turner Construction, Elevar, thank you all for being a part of creating this grand vision together. Now I'd like to introduce Jonathan Malley from Populous to give you a better understanding of the design process and the revolutionary aspects you'll see in the West End Stadium. Jonathan.
Thank you, Carl, and thank you, Jeff. And it's certainly exciting to be here today to share the design with all of you. We've been on the project for 4 months now, and we've developed a concept and a strategy working with the great team of FCC to really bring something special to the city. So we'll take you through the design concept and a bit of the inspiration. First and foremost, anytime we go into a new city to work on and develop a stadium, which becomes a civic gesture to the public, we really like to look at the architecture of the city, whether the Findlay Market or the Over-the-Rhine District, Union Terminal, Music Hall, and the old Cincinnati Library. Just understanding the buildings and the context and how they might relate to the design and the architecture and inform our thinking. We also like to look at public space. And in the case of the design for West End Stadium, there is a grand plaza, a grand gesture in front of the stadium that will serve to draw the public in. So whether it's the Philadelphia Art Museum or Fountain Square right here in Cincinnati, the New York Public Library across from our offices in New York, or even the Spanish Steps in Rome, thinking about public space and how special it can be for game day, but also non-game day, and the idea of the public moving up into the building. We also today think of lighting as a building material. It's not only the metal and glass and bricks and mortar that build our structures, but also think about the dynamic qualities of lighting and how that can bring buildings to life and heighten the experience of the patron or the spectator going into the facility. We also, in starting to abstract some of these ideas, think about the dynamic movements of the athlete, in this case, the soccer player, the dancer, abstract art forms, and then as we move over to the image on the right, beginning to think about how these elements can manifest themselves in an actual architectural expression, which we've taken some cues from in the design. So in the case of the Grand Eastern Plaza and the facade that's facing the Over-the-Rhine District, we conceived of a series of vertical elements, a series of fin-like elements that when aggregated over the length of the facade, essentially culminate in a dynamic horizontal movement that is the grand gesture of that eastern face. And so taking our cues also from, this is actually a 3D printed prototype, and you can see here again the vertical elements and the beautiful horizontal movement that suggests the speed of the game. This is the first concept sketch, and actually doing this in the computer and digitizing this idea. You can see the wrap of the exterior and then the elements moving up onto the roof. And so this was our first kind of conceptual sketch a number of months ago, and now we're seeing the renderings today and how that's come to fruition. It was, again, 4 months ago, and I remember Jeff sent me this photo, and we were captivated by it. We were captivated by the fan base in Cincinnati. We'd never actually seen a march to the match in the MLS like this. And so when you think about that and what can inspire a design and how a building can accept a march to the match, a parade of expectation coming into the facility, it got us really excited. And so we wanted to have this grand gesture out in the building's face to celebrate that. And if there's one diagram to explain how that all comes together, it's the twisting motion of the exterior facade floating over that eastern plaza where the public ascends up to that elevation. And you can almost think of that twist and the tension across the facade as the tension between two teams about to take to the pitch. And so we're scrolling through the renderings before, but just to speak to each one of them a little bit, to talk about the qualities of the space, the building, the exterior, and the interior. Here we see a view from the southeast looking towards the northwest, the beautiful hillside beyond, Central Parkway, the Grand Civic Plaza out front, and then the twisting motion of the facade that encapsulates the public upon entry. The roof covering covers every seat in the house, and we'll look at some bowl images in a moment and talk about that. Another view from the southeast down at the street level, and this gives you a sense of what the dynamic quality of the lighting would look like. And so this is a still image, but then there's activation of that lighting, and it'll really come to life. So again, the plaza ascending about 30 feet up into the air, creating that delicate separation from the building floating above, and then the plaza. During the day, and maybe a non-game day moment, that simple facade element, one singular move. This is in a non-lit situation. You could see the grand stairs coming off Central Parkway, the team store on the right, the kind of glass cube on the corner. Very simple moves to celebrate this entrance sequence. And then the interior match experience. There's a lot of different schools of thought in terms of bowl design that's out there today. And what we really focused on for Cincinnati was a continuous bowl all the way around, the roof covering, creating a really intimate and intense environment. And so all of that, when you're inside, has you focusing on the match and on the game. This is an image here from the south stands looking at the north, and the Bailey, which is our supporter section, hosting 3,100 safe standing positions in that northern end, architecturally canting the sides of it to create a real focus down on the pitch where all the sound and the energy of the Bailey supporters will be focused on the game, creating an intense environment. The scoreboard then hovers above, and you can see the roof coming in on all sides to create that intimate yet intense seating environment. And then an image here from above over the Rhine from the east looking west, and you can see again that diagram coming to life, the building floating above the Grand Plaza, the entrance into the stadium, and the roofscape above. Another bowl view here from the west side. So this is one of the first premium levels on the west side of the building. And so you're looking at the center of the pitch, and you can see the bowl continuity all the way around, a wall of people and sound and energy. And then finally, our image from the northwest, looking back at the city of Cincinnati and the way that the new West End Stadium will situate itself in the neighborhood. If you notice the environment, the lighting to the east, and then we have the western building, the idea of which to keep the sound and light and energy on the eastern side of the stadium, and paying consideration to the neighborhoods to the west. And then I think to sum it up, we have one more short video that drives at the heart and the energy of this project, this team, and this city.